Hi, everybody. This is Katrina. I'm here in my office at Crossroads Metaphysical Store in Shingle Springs, California. And I'm going to address one of the questions we often get asked here in the shop out there on the sales floor. And that is, what do I need to use to cleanse the air in my home? Now, there's a whole conjure section with washes that are great for the structure of your home. That's a whole other video that I'll be making soon about Chinese wash and Four Thieves vinegar and holy water and things like that. Right now, we're going to be talking about smokes and the different types of smoke and what they do specifically for you and as cleansing agents. So our primary focus for today will be on the sages and some of the items that are sort of like sage that we use for cleansing. So let's get started with that. Now, this is the one that everybody pretty well knows. This is white sage. And white sage is probably the most common purificant that even people who are not magically inclined are familiar with. White sage is one of my favorites, honestly. I hate to be predictable, but I love it. It just gets the job done. You have to be careful about how it's harvested to make sure it's harvested with respect for the plant and respect for the traditions from which it came, but it's kind of aggressive. It has a very strong smell to it. I think it smells like sausage because I'm from Kentucky and we put sage in our sausage, but it does really, really work. And conditioning is a great thing. My kids, of course, I have 6 kids. They were raised as the kids of a witch, and they're all adults now. The youngest is almost 22, the oldest is 42, and if they're all in the house and they smell sage, if I start saging the house, I swear to God, every single one of these adults will sit down. And that's because when they were little kids, if they were getting rowdy or upset, I would start to sage the house and they would start to be calm. I would bring up puzzles or books or something for them to center on. And so they're used to associating the smell of sage with calmness and it's time to quiet down and be cool. 1, 2, 3 eyes on me, that sort of thing. So this is the white sage. This is the one you're most commonly going to find. Now, another wonderful thing, we're very lucky here in California that we are not far from where this grows, and that is Shasta Sage from Mount Shasta in the area. Shasta Sage is looser. It's not, let me show you, it's not as dense as the white sage. It has more of a sagebrush sort of presentation. It has a very sweet smell. And I actually enjoy using sagebrush for smudging, as it's called, when you're cleansing uh, the energy of a person or a thing or a room. But Shasta sage has an especially sweet smell, and Shasta sage is more of a, how can I put it? It's a very esoteric cleansing. Shasta sage really works on your third eye, your crown chakra, and connecting to the divine. So it's a very sacred tool. We use it sometimes in our sweat lodges, and it's really wonderful. But a super sweet smelling sage, not at all like the white sage that has that more aggressive smell to it. This is something that we just started using in the last couple years or so, and that's black sage and whole different plant, all still in the salvia family. But black sage tends to work more on the innermost spiritual self. We use this with our spiritual cleansings that we do here at Crossroads. My associate Gladys and I especially are really fond of the black sage. If somebody's really had a lot of trauma or they're working on their shadow work and trying to get resolution for things from the past or things that are truly deeply troubling them, we use the black sage for that. And it also has a very rich smell that's different from the Shasta and the white sage. It's very clearly still sage. All of them have that sagey, smoky, brush fire sort of undertone, but the black sage just has a really deep, resonant, rich smell to it that's very nice and very helpful for that inner deep work. Now, this is something that a lot of you are familiar with, and that's Palo Santo. Now, this is the stick. Palo Santo also comes in chips that look like this. Look like this, and we burn the chips on charcoals. But this is the stick, and Palo Santo comes from South America, Central America, Mexico, and it's used as a cleanser, but people often don't know how to use it and they get frustrated with it. It's wood, so it's not going to just stay burning like the sage does. The sage will run you out of the house. I mean, that'll get super billowy, especially if you haven't cleaned your area in a long time. But the Palo Santo is going to cherry and it's going to smoke and then it's going to go out. So you have to relight it every couple of minutes or so. But Palo Santo has a very different smell. True Palo Santo is going to smell kind of like licorice, like black licorice. And it comes from a tree that is usually infected with a symbiotic ant that's very aggressive. And it's very protective of the tree. So they can only harvest it when the branches fall deciduously, and then the ants have no interest in the branches that are lost. So you can't just usually go up and just cut down a Palo Santo tree and not get attacked by the ants. But because of the ants, the wood has a very strong protective energy to it. So when you use Palo Santo, not only are you cleansing like you do with the sage, but you're also getting some protective energy around you as well. We enjoy the Palo Santo very much and use it quite a bit with our healings. Another thing to talk about is sweetgrass, which looks like this. It's a long sweetgrass braid, at least when you get it, when you purchase it, that's what it looks like. And sweetgrass is called sweetgrass because it's very sweet smelling and lovely. My favorite blend for cleansing is sage with cedar and sweetgrass. I have a real affection for the blending of those smells. But sweetgrass, very much like the Palo Santo, doesn't like to stay lit. You've got to stay after it and you've got to light it often if you're burning it from the braid. What I do is I cut the braid so that little bits of it are falling into a dish, and then I put some loose sage in there and I put some loose cedar in there and mix it all up and burn that on a charcoal briquette, and it smells amazing. The last thing I want to talk to you about is something most people don't think of as a purificant, but it actually is, and that's a mugwort stick. So this is mugwort, which grows really prolifically where I live here in California. And mugwort usually isn't used to cleanse people. It can. It's used for astral travel because it facilitates movement between the veil and between the realms. So it's really effective at Samhain, October 31st, and um, noon and midnight, and other times when we're in transition, such as the solstices and the equinoxes. And it helps you to just get a little bit of a better sense of the other side. But what I use mugwort for is to cleanse tools. So if somebody brings a mirror to me and says, this mirror is haunted, I need you to clean it out, I'm going to use a tincture or a tea of mugwort to wash it. And then I'm going to take a mugwort stick like this one, and I'm going to smoke it out really, really well. If somebody wants to cleanse their tools, or their crystal balls, or their quartz, or their wand, or their athame, their blade, whatever it might be, you can use mugwort to do that. And it'll just really neutralize the energies, give it a nice empowerment, and ready it to receive your energy again. So that's what you would use mugwort for. You can buy all sorts of blends as well. This is ours. It's called Witch's Broom. And Witch's Broom is sage, cedar, sweetgrass, but also I add in some juniper because juniper is also a really nice cleansing agent. It's just not very conducive to being in a stick. So it's not very utilitarian. You have to put it on some charcoal, and then you use something like I use a pheasant wing, or you can use a feather to fan it and get it through the air. Or you can just do this and get it to move through the air. So those are the smokes that I wanted to talk to you about. They are the ones that we use most often here at the shop and that we sell here at the shop. And people seem to enjoy them very much. But one of the biggest questions is, what is the difference between all of these tools, all of these cleansing agents? And those are the questions that, those are the things that are different. So I hope that that helped give some clarity to the situation. Thank you all for being here. You can reach me at crossroadsoccult.com, and also I'm responsive to your comments in the comments section. So again, thanks for dropping by and sharing time with me. Bye-bye.